Okay, so today we're going to start by talking about what is cryptocurrency, what is blockchain technology, what is cryptocurrency mining, what is cryptocurrency mining based upon CPU, GPU, and ASIC, and what are cryptocurrency mining algorithms. So we're going to talk this through, but we're going to talk it through the way we can understand it. With no fancy technical words and all that sort of stuff. We're just going to talk regular. You know what I'm saying? Talk so you can understand it clearly. And what I'll do is I'll break these videos up into sections, but I'll also put the full length video up as well. So it's going to take some time. We're going to go through it step by step, and I'll break it down in terms that you can easily understand. And that's the way it should be, because we really need to understand what's being said, how it's used, how it affects us. But the first thing we have to do is come to an understanding of these terms, this terminology, to know exactly what the heck is cryptocurrency. What is this stuff all about? What is Bitcoin? What is blockchain? All these sorts of things. We want to cover these things in a method that is easily understood and that you feel comfortable with. And if you have questions, you can always just post a question and I'll answer you directly. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so what exactly is cryptocurrency? It's basically a digital means of exchange created and used by private individuals or groups. Because most cryptocurrencies aren't regulated by governments, they're considered alternative currencies or alternative mediums of financial exchange that exist outside the bounds of the state monetary policy. Basically, it's an alternative currency that's used outside of regular banking, what we call normal banking or normal currency. This is a whole separate currency, right? It's in the digital sphere. So it's just an alternative to real currency. There are literally hundreds of cryptocurrencies. Everyone knows the most popular one, Bitcoin. Everybody knows that name. But there's a lot of cryptocurrencies out there other than Bitcoin. Probably in my top 10 would be Litecoin, Ethereum, Zcash, Dash, Ripple, Monero, and Bitcoin Cash. So, but there's tons of them. So they're just different brands and different currencies. Bitcoin is just the one that dominates. It was the very first cryptocurrency. It has the most market share. It has the most value. So that's what everybody recognizes. Okay, so now, in order to understand what crypto mining is, you have to understand what blockchain technology is and what the blockchain is. And basically, the blockchain is just a growing list of records called blocks. They're all linked together using cryptography. And cryptography is basically like secure code, a language, right? So anyway, each block contains a cryptographic hash of the previous block, a timestamp, and like transaction data. It's basically a record, right? So the blockchain is basically a list of records. These records are called blocks. They're all linked together using cryptography, a code, like a secret code, right? And each one of these blocks contains a different cryptographic hash of the previous block, like a timestamp and a transaction record. Okay? Now, by design, the blockchain is resistant to modification of the data, meaning that nothing can change the data. Once it's happened, once there's a timestamp, once there's a record of it, nothing can really modify that data. Okay? And it's an open, distributed ledger that can record the transactions between two parties efficiently and in a verifiable and permanent way. So basically, once this ledger has been verified and recorded, nothing can change it. Okay, that's the cryptography. That's the security of it. That's the code. So it's like you wrote down something on a piece of paper, you wrote a name and address, and you put a code on the cover of that paper, and nobody can get into it. So that's basically what the blockchain is. So now we talk about what is cryptocurrency mining. You hear people talk about this all the time. What is mining? What does it mean? basically it's the process of validating the transactions with the computer and then adding them to the public ledger, to the long list on the blockchain. You know, the list with all the transactions. So you're basically validating the transaction and adding it to that list that's on the blockchain. And in exchange for that, you get rewarded with cryptocurrency. So anybody can do it, you know, with a computer and internet and a miner and all that sort of stuff. But whether it's worth it or not to do it depends on a lot of factors. What coin you're mining for, what the current price of the coin is, how much power you're going to use, what it's going to cost you in electricity, how many miners do you have, are you a part of a pool, many factors, and I'll talk about that stuff later. But basically whether or not you should mine cryptocurrency depends on a lot of factors. Just to give an example, let's take Bitcoin. So Bitcoins can't be printed like money. You know, people, there's no bank that's going to print out Bitcoin. There's no treasury department or anything like that, right? So creating Bitcoins is all based upon the blockchain and the public ledger, right? So the public ledger is designed to support all the activities of Bitcoin, record every transaction across the entire network, you know? So the blockchain makes a record of every time a Bitcoin is bought and sold, and then these records are being assembled into like one line of connected blocks. And in order for a transaction to be valid and go through, it has to be verified by another user on the network. That verification process is the fundamental integrity of Bitcoin. The process is secure and valid. So that verification process, that's the whole Bitcoin integrity system right there. So it avoids any issues of spending twice, where someone would try to spend money and spend it again or something like that, right? So users on the network that carry out the task are called miners, the task of verification. So every time a transaction is completed into a block, that block is then appended to the blockchain, and then the miners are rewarded in cryptocurrency for participating and completing that task. There are three types of mining that's available, right? CPU mining, basically using a PC, GPU, using video cards, and ASIC, which is like a specialized device, right? And when Bitcoin started, you could only mine with CPU. But the disadvantages are right now is that it's no longer profitable. It's constant wear and tear on your CPU, on your PC. The electrical cost is high. The Bitcoin network hash rate is really high, so CPU mining is no longer guaranteed for profit. You know, miners, they use fast hardware to solve these problems and stuff like that, and CPUs aren't really fast enough, right? So GPU stands for graphics processing unit. It's also known as just video cards, right? It's just a video card. So people, you know, hear somebody saying, oh, graphic processing unit, whatever, it's just a video card. So if you ever hear someone say GPU mining, they're talking about video cards. Doesn't have like as much power as like an ASIC miner, which I'll talk about next, but it's more flexible. You know, you can use them in gaming computers and stuff like that. But GPUs are much faster than CPUs, right? So, and you can mine Bitcoin with them because they're going to be faster. With the CPUs, you probably can't mine Bitcoin anymore. It's just too slow. Well, with GPUs, you can mine Bitcoin. It's a lot faster, right? And so as long as you have, you know, the drivers installed properly for the video card, you can use, you know, CPU to mine Bitcoin and other coins. They're very good at you know, solving the math questions and all that sort of stuff to add to the blockchain. They got a high resale value. You can sell them just like a used car. It's standard hardware. It's not something, you know, out of the ordinary. There's tons of them out there. You can always upgrade. If you're mining with one GPU, you can switch to a different one and stuff like that, right? Now, ASICs stands for Application Specific Integrated Circuit. It's called ASIC. It's basically a microchip. It's specifically designed to execute the hashing algorithms. Like, it's basically designed specifically for mining Bitcoin, specifically for solving those problems really, really fast and all that sort of stuff. Basically, it goes 100,000 times faster than a CPU. And the advantage of those mining is that they have a low power use, and they mine really fast, and they're small. You get a high profit margin off of those. The only thing about those is that they can be real expensive, right? But those are the three types of mining. It's ASIC mining, CPU mining, and GPU mining.